Okay, today I want to show you a quick tutorial on how to make my version of an explosion box. This is one I made for a wedding. I haven't finished it yet, but you see I've put the lilies on the top. I won't show you how to do the flowers because there's so many tutorials out there, and if you'll look down below in my description, you will see a link to making the lilies, and you will find a link for making the Gerber daisy. Now these explosion boxes, I don't like unfinished edges on boxes and lids and things like that. I know a lot of people just score it 4, 4, and 4 and run with it, but I don't like that look. It doesn't look finished. So my version can be used also as a cupcake box if you prefer. Is a finished edge lid that has folded paper so the edges are nice and thick and smooth, and it makes for a very sturdy lid. And the box just opens up flat. Instead of having the cross like this without the corners, leaves the gaping holes, I don't like that. It doesn't look finished. Also, I like these edges to be finished so that when the box is put together, you have a nice sturdy edge. So to make a box, you're going to have one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and one 12 by 12 sheet of paper. The 12 by 12 sheet, it really works better if the bottom of the box, or including the top, the lid of the box, if you have any textured cardstock. I know Stampin' Up! Doesn't make it anymore, but if you have some old kits, some of the scrapping kits had textured paper in them, get that out and use it because it'd be great for this project. So let's get started. It's just all in the scoring. It really helps if you have a Stampin' Up! Score pad with a diagonal plate. So we'll start with our box bottom. I'm using Floral District and a piece of Razzleberry Ripple cardstock. You're going to have a piece for the lid and a big piece for the box. Now the box piece is not 12 by 12. It has been trimmed to 11.5 inches. Make sure you have a really good paper trimmer so you get a nice straight edge. You're going to remove the diagonal plate, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. And it is Stampin' Up! Cardstock, so you can use your skinny end of the stylus. Since it is a box, I try not to score it too hard because I don't want it to I don't want the paper to tear from use. So you're going to score it at 1/2. You're going to score it at 2 1/4. Excuse me, at 4 inches. 1/2, 4 inches. I'll have these below in the description. We'll have these measurements. 1/2, 4 inches, 7.5, and 11. It gives you a 1/2 inch, and then 3 even sections. That's why I trim it to 11.5, because you can't get the margins that I like, plus use a 12-inch piece of paper. Okay, and then turn it, and you're going to score it the same again. You just turn it 90 degrees. 1/2 inch, 4 inches, 7.5 inches, and 11 inches. Okay? Now you're going to put your diagonal plate on. Lay your paper back down. And you're going to start in the corner and just come from the corner down till you get to the center box. Right there, and stop. Go to the next, go across this. Do not score this center section. Pick up this corner and go out. Turn it. Do the same thing again. Start in the corner. Come down to the center box. Stop. Go to the opposite corner of the center box and go out. So that you end up with these score lines. This will make our little part that folds in. Now, you're going to take your snips and you're going to snip in at 1/2 inch on these score lines. Not on the corners, just the center section, the center cross part. You're going to snip at the score line. And I always snip to the inside, what I want to keep, the part I'm keeping and not trimming off, I want it to be the inside. So I snip to the inside of that ditch, if that makes any sense. But you're going to do that on all 4 sides, just using your snippers, just up that to that 1/2 inch score line, like so. Now you're going to need some heavy duty sticky strip or score pal tape and your paper trimmer. And you're just going to take your score pal tape and I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, because you always fold with the ditch. So my bumpy side is my wrong side. And I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of score pal tape on these center sections like this. You can use sticky strip. I just always have used the score pal tape because I can tear it with my fingers. And sticky strip, you know, has to have scissors, and then you got to clean your scissors and blah blah blah. Okay, I'm going to fold on my score lines. You don't have to use your bone folder because we want these edges to be not too crisp so that it looks more like a box. Like so. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my edges. Now, I'm going to fold those under and use the bone folder, so that that is a nice sharp edge. Take off the backing to my tape and go ahead and stick that down. Make sure that's stuck down good. And just do that all the way around. I'm looking for my little tape lifter upper tool. It's stuck down really good. Oops, get over there. This is raspberry ripple paper. This is what goes with this actual piece of floral distic. This is a good way to, you know, maybe even get rid of some of your designer series paper that you haven't used on a project, and you say, God, I don't know what that goes with and what I can do with it. Use it all, one sheet. Just use it all up on making a box. You can use designer series paper to make your lid if you'd rather not have to use cardstock to make your lid. Okay, so now I have this, where my edges are folded under, and I got this part out here. So I'm going to take it and lay it on my paper trimmer. And I'm going to use my bone folder to show you. This is the ditch. So I'm going to put it right there and line the other corner up right there. You can do this with scissors, or you can put it on you could do it on your scoring tool and then trim it with your scissors, but this is just as easy, and then I know it is straight. So it just cuts that part off. So you're going to line those up. And I'm getting used to this new trimmer. It's a little bit better than the old Fiskar type. It might be a good investment if you don't already have a good tabletop trimmer, because it does have the bigger grid. You can cut bigger pieces of paper. A little bit sturdier than the old Fiskar one they sold. Plus it has the built-in scoring thing right here too. So you could use it instead of your score tool. So we end up with this hexagon, octagon, like a stop sign. And it's got the little dents here in the corner so that it will fold together like that. And you can go ahead and fold it and fold those pieces in. And if you want to, use your bone folder and squish those down flat. Fold that one in. Fold that in. Okay, so there is basically your box. Nice and neat. Everything matches up perfectly because you used your scoring tool. What you're going to want to do is cut you some designer series paper, and it's easier if you go ahead and do this for you, while you're going along. I have actually sponged the edges of mine, and these are cut at 3 3/8 inch square. You can use score pal tape. If you're giving this as a gift, I would suggest using something heavy duty like score pal tape, or make sure you got a lot of snail on there. I'm just using some temporary adhesive right now for this, just so that you can see how I put the pieces on. But you'll put these on all 4 sides. And I have sponged around the edges of this, just for this project. I'm not a big sponging person, but for this project I thought that might be a nice touch. Now, part of this paper is going to be up under the lid, and you won't see it at the edge of the lid. So I'm going to put my purple pieces where I can see, where it's going to be really pretty and show. So I'm putting that kind of, this is the bottom of the box. Okay, so there we have our explosion box made and the 4 sides covered. Now what you want to do if you're giving it as an album, you'd want to take some contrasting paper, maybe something that has a real pretty matching color of this, maybe a yellow, and just go ahead and cut your 5 more squares. Same thing, same 3 3/8, and go ahead and mount those on these 3 areas so that you can have, you know, they can put pictures, or if you want to decorate the inside with pictures or sayings, or makes a great cupcake box. You don't have to put anything inside but the cupcake holder. If you wanted to do the little candle that is the battery operated little votive candle, you can make it look like a cake. There's several tutorials online for how to make those look like cakes. And you can build a little cake in the middle and then have happy birthday stuff. You could even use the new Stampin' Up! Messaging tags that you put inside your project, and then they scan it with their smartphone and you can record a message that they can listen to. Okay, so there's the box. Now we want to do the lid. And the lid is basically done almost the same way. We're going to use our scoring tool. This is an 8 1/8 inch square. And I do that so that because it is Stampin' Up! Cardstock and it's thick, so you need that measurement in order to make the lid fit really nice and snug and not bend your, you don't want your box to bend in like this where the lid is too tight. You want it to fit just snugly and fit perfectly like it was custom made, which it is custom made. Okay, so you're going to put your 8 1/8 inch piece on your scoring tool, and we're going to score it at 1 inch. Oops, let's use the scoring tool. 1 inch, 2 1/4, 5 7/8, and then 7 1/8. That's 1 inch, 2 1/4, 5 7/8, 7 1/8, leaving you 1 inch on this end. Turn it and do the same thing again. 1 inch, 2 1/4, 5 7/8, 7 1/8. And you're going to end up with a grid like this. Okay, that's all you need for the scoring tool for the lid. Now you're going to take your scissors or your snips. If you want to use bigger scissors, you can. I'm going to use bigger scissors since I got a deeper cut. I'm going to go in the ditch, straight up to the center square. You're going to have a square here in the middle. Do that on each side here, like that. So I've got this cut up through the 1 inch to the 1 1/4 inch piece up to the center square. I'm going to turn it 180 degrees. And I'm going to do the same thing again, all the way up to the center box. Okay, now you want to actually cut away these outside squares. As you can see all the different squares that it makes from the grid. These are you want to cut away these squares. There's 3. One there, one here, one here. So you want to make sure this part is cut away. And always cut, like I said, inside of the ditch. And one more here. You can do this with your paper trimmer, but it's just as quick just to do it with your scissors unless you're really, really unsure of cutting. It'd probably take me longer to line it up on the paper trimmer to cut them away than it would be for me to do it here with my scissors. Okay, so this is what you want to end up with. You got these little flaps like this. Okay, and I want to make sure that when I close the box up that it's going to fit very snugly and not going to be any bumps anywhere. So I'm going to take these little flaps and the side toward the 1 inch area, I'm just going to cut at an angle like that. because when this is folded over it, I don't want anything bulky that's going to make it, I didn't get that cut right in the ditch on that side. So you're going to have this little angle here. So you want to do that on all 4 flaps. Okay, so you have an angle, an angle, an angle, and an angle. Okay? You can go ahead and fold everything on its lines. And once again, you're going to use some heavy-duty tape, like score file tape, and you want to go all the way around the edges, these 1-inch flaps, and you're going to put tape. Your sides that you put on the other piece, you can mat those if you think, oh, I like designer paper always matted. You can do that. It doesn't have to be on this particular box. The lid sometimes is pretty if you mat it with a contrasting color. This might be pretty to have like yellow or the lime green around it. I'm not going to do that at this time. I'm just going to mount my top. Most of it's covered up with the flour anyway. You don't hardly see it. Now this piece on the top is 3.5 inches. Okay. Alright. So, and that's the square, 3.5-inch square. Now, I take and before I start folding the box up, just to give me a little helping hand, I'm going to put just a little bit of, flip it over to the right side, and I'm going to put just a little snail on each of the flaps. So you're going to take this, and we're going to bend these back. Okay, so you got this bent back. You're going to bend this up, fold your little flaps in. Okay, bend it up, fold your flaps in. Okay, now I want to hold it and I want to make sure that this is lined up. So I have a nice neat corner. Same thing here. Make sure I got a nice neat corner. That little bit of snail is just going to hold it in place till we can get our score tape pushed down. Okay. Now, if you wanted to embellish the sides of the lid like I did here with the embossed pieces of matching cardstock, you'll need to put that on before you fold your lid up. And those are 1 1/8 by 3 1/2. Okay, so now I'm going to remove my tape. And fold that in. Once again, I'm going to actually use the bone folder. Make sure that's nice and creased so that it's really pressed down on that tape. And then take the opposite side, which folds down onto those little tabs. Same thing. So you got it nice, the little tabs are in there, it's not coming apart, all your corners all match really good. Remove the other 2 sides. Once again, use your bone folder, smooth it down, and make sure you press up in those corners good, but be careful not to poke through your paper. You know, it is just paper. So you don't want to be too rough with it. Fold that in. A lot of people actually trim away that corner, but I don't like that idea because I think it kind of weakens the fold. Okay, so that's all nice and stuck down. Let's see how it fits on our box. We have our box. We're going to fold up the sides. Squish it together and put your lid on. Oh, fits like a glove. Sort of the, we'll call it the O.J. Simpson box. Fits like a glove. Okay, so there you go. You can make you a nice flower to go on the top. You can make the lilies to go on the top. I think this is very wedding-y, sort of like a bride. The Gerber daisies are very cute, easy to do. You can do the scallop punch flower, which is easy to put together. You could do the magnolia, which is very easy to put together, using the ornament punch. But any of those would be nice on here. If you do want to have the contrasting embossed pieces, I suggest you sponge them and kind of give them just a little bit of antique-y look, and those would be mounted to the sides of the box like that. Of course, you'd do that before you put the lid on. I mean, you could do it after the lid's assembled, but things are always easier to do when they're flat. And that's our little box. It explodes. Hope you have a happy stamping day.